Okay, guys using 40 Smith & Wesson in their Glock 20 Gen 4 10 millimeter. This is a 10 millimeter barrel, and I'm going to show you why it works. People are wondering why it works and what happens when you do it. Well, here's a barrel right here. But first of all, if you look at the 40 Smith & Wesson and the 10 millimeter case is 1/8 of an inch longer. So if we take the 10 millimeter, you'll notice that on the feed ramp, the casing is flush with the feed ramp, okay? And then you take the 40 and it sits back too far. So people are wondering, well, how does it work then? Well, the way it works is it's held flush back here by the extractor. The extractor holds it in that position. So what you end up with is you end up with a little bit of free float in here, about 1/8 of an inch, where the casing isn't stopped. The casing isn't stopped and the bullet isn't receiving the lands and grooves for 1/8 of an inch. So there's a little bit of free play in there that it has to travel. So the bullet has to travel 1/8 of an inch more to engage that, engage the lands and grooves. And also the shell right here, if you look inside the barrel, there's a place to stop the shell also from going, well, I can't show it here, but the shell is stopped when it goes in. There's a ridge inside that barrel that stops it too. So not only the lands and grooves stop the shell from going too far, but also there's cutouts in there, a ridge that stops it from going further. But with the 40, you don't have that because it's shorter. So now it's stopped now, but it has a little bit of free floating here where the bullet has to travel that 1/8 of an inch to engage the lands and grooves. Whether accuracy or not, you probably have accuracy problems or whatever, but that's to be expected probably because of the simple fact that it's got to travel 1/8 of an inch before it touches the lands and grooves. So, but some guys like to shoot the 40 in here because it's cheaper than 10 mil. So, and the whole purpose of the 10 millimeter is to shoot rounds that are 600 foot-pounds of energy. Anytime you fall below that, say like below 550 or somewhere around there, you're basically shooting a 40 anyway. So if you buy watered down 10 millimeter, you might as well just shoot your 40 or whatever you have, and just use your 10 millimeter for hunting and for other things. But I still like shooting, target shooting with the Glock 20 10 millimeter, so Gen 4. Here's the cutaway of the barrel I wanted to show you. See how the extractor is holding the round? This is a dummy round. So if we put in the 10 millimeter and we line it up, you can see what kind of free play you have there. So just imagine that this is inside the barrel right now, and imagine that the 40 is inside the barrel. Notice how there's 1/8 of an inch more that bullet has to travel in order to touch the lands and grooves and to get the twist. So, and the reason why the 40 works in a 10 millimeter barrel is because they're the same diameter bullet. And you don't have to worry about extreme pressures because of the fact that 10 millimeter is much higher pressure than the 40 Smith & Wesson, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, do I shoot 40 Smith & Wesson in my 10? Not really. I don't need to. I have a 40 that I use also, but I don't find it necessary. Some guys like to do it, some don't. But anyway, so there it is. It's held by the extractor. So once again, if I was going to show you here, my finger's the extractor, okay? Like that. The extractor's holding it, and then the striker hits it. So is the extractor strong enough? Yeah, I think so, to hold up to that pressure hitting the primer. But anyway, that's how it works. I don't shoot 40s in my 10 mil, but that's how it works. Now, I do have other barrels for my Glock 20 that I can put in. I do have a 40 Smith & Wesson barrel. I do have some other barrels too. But the whole thing about this is that you'll notice that the extractor holds it right here, right at the bottom of the feed ramp. So here's my finger. This is the extractor. So it's holding it, so you got a little free play there. So that's about it, guys.